Diddy docu-series.
Sean Combs, The Reckoning.
Sean Combs, The Reckoning.
Sean Combs, The Reckoning. Sean Combs, The Reckoning.
Sean Combs, The Reckoning.
A 4-part docu-series has finally premiered on Netflix.
About the allegations and indictment of Sean Diddy Combs.
Hi.
What's up, baby?
Where you going?
I'm about to deposit $200 million right now. I feel good.
Sean Diddy Combs, Puff Daddy, P. Diddy, Brother Love. The man with more names than most people have dreams. A name that didn't just exist in hip-hop. It defined hip-hop for decades. Grammy winner, fashion icon, business magnate worth nearly $1 billion. The architect of Bad Boy Records, the label that gave us Biggie, Faith Evans, 112, and changed the sound of an entire generation. Netflix released something that the music industry didn't want to face.
It could be somebody that has dealt in the dirtiest of dirty business of media and propaganda.
A documentary called The Reckoning. Not a celebration, not a tribute, a reckoning. Survivor speaking.
When you're a leader in that way, it's admirable until you get to the point where you want to control everyone around you. He got to that point.
Lawsuit stacking. Allegations surfacing that have been whispered about in back rooms for years.
Dickerson Neal claims she knew Combs had a history of treating women poorly, but she said she went out to eat at a restaurant in Harlem with Combs anyway.
Now broadcast to millions. This isn't just about one man's fall from grace. This is about power, control, the price of silence in an industry built on image. Today, we're diving deep, not just into what Netflix showed us, but into the empire, the allegations, the cultural shift, and what this means for the future of hip-hop itself. This is Sean Combs, The Reckoning, the full story. Sean Combs, The Reckoning, the untold story. November 4th, 1969, Harlem, New York. Sean John Combs was born into a world that didn't hand out opportunities, especially not to young black kids from the streets. His father, Melvin Combs, was murdered when Sean was just 3 years old. Shot dead in Central Park. A drug dealer trying to survive. A tragedy that would haunt and drive Sean for the rest of his life. His mother, Janice, worked 3 jobs to keep the lights on. She showed him something crucial. Hustle isn't optional. It's survival. By the time he hit Howard University in 1989, Sean wasn't there just to study business. He was there to become business. He threw parties, promoted events, networked like his life depended on it. Because it did. And then came the break that changed everything. An internship at Uptown Records. Not glamorous, not paid well. But Sean Combs didn't just fetch coffee. He absorbed everything. Artists, production, marketing, image building. He discovered Mary J. Blige. He helped shape Jodeci. At just 22 years old, he became the youngest executive at the label. But here's the thing about Sean Combs. Being an executive was never enough. He wanted ownership, control, legacy. And when Uptown let him go in 1993, he didn't collapse. He exploded. Bad Boy Records, 1993. Diddy wasn't just starting a label, he was starting a movement. And his first major signing? A young rapper from Brooklyn with a flow smoother than silk and a story grittier than the streets. Christopher Wallace, the notorious B.I.G. Biggie Smalls. With Ready to Die in 1994, Diddy didn't just launch an artist, he launched an era. The shiny suit aesthetic, the samples from classic soul hits, the fusion of street credibility and mainstream appeal. He turned hip-hop into pop culture. Faith Evans, 112 total. Maze, Deluxe. Bad Boy became the hit factory of the 90s. And Diddy? He wasn't behind the scenes anymore. He was front and center, dancing in every video, ad-libbing on every track, branding himself as loudly as his artists. Can't nobody hold me down. M.O. money, M.O. problems. It's all about the Benjamins. These weren't just songs. They were anthems. By the late 90s, Sean Combs wasn't just a music producer. He was a cultural architect, building an empire. Let's be clear, Diddy understood something most artists never do. Music makes you famous, but business makes you wealthy. 1998, he launches Sean John, a clothing line that brought street fashion to high-end runways. It would eventually earn him a CFDA award and hundreds of millions in revenue. 2007. He partners with Ciroc Vodka, not as a spokesperson, but as a brand ambassador with profit sharing. That deal alone reportedly earns him $60 million a year. Then there's Revolt TV, Aqua Hydrate, Combs Enterprises. By 2022, Diddy's net worth was estimated at nearly $1 billion. He wasn't just in the game, he owned pieces of it. From Harlem to Hamptons, from mixtapes to board meetings, Sean Combs built himself into a titan. The world admired him. He was proof that a black kid from nothing could become everything. But here's what Netflix's The Reckoning forces us to confront. What was happening behind the scenes while the empire was being built? Who paid the price for all that power? And why, for decades, did no one ask these questions out loud? The allegations surface. The documentary doesn't attack Diddy from the jump. It builds, slowly, methodically. It starts with whispers, rumors that floated around the industry for years but never made it to the mainstream. Stories about volatile behavior, explosive anger, control that went way beyond professional boundaries. Then, the survivors start speaking. Women who worked with him, former artists, employees, people who saw Diddy not as a mogul, but as a man who wielded power in ways that were damaging, manipulative, and, according to them, abusive. One woman describes emotional manipulation, being told she owed him everything, that without him she was nothing. Another recalls physical violence, incidents behind closed doors that left bruises on her body and scars on her mind. Others talk about sexual coercion, situations where consent wasn't just blurred, it was absent. And perhaps most chilling, the fear. Fear of speaking out, fear of retaliation, fear of being blacklisted from an industry where Diddy's influence reached everywhere. Now, let's be clear about something. These are allegations, testimonies, stories told by individuals.
I said it immediately. I literally watched them pull out the guns. I've had a clear point of view. I mean, for God's sake, I got shot in my nose.
Diddy and his legal team have repeatedly and firmly denied wrongdoing, calling these claims false, financially motivated, and defamatory. But what The Reckoning does isn't about proving guilt in a courtroom. It's about giving voice to people who say they were silenced for too long. And whether you believe every word, some words, or none at all, the documentary asks you to sit with a deeply uncomfortable question. What if the empire we celebrated was built on suffering we ignored? Deeper into the testimonies. Let's talk specifics, because this isn't vague. The documentary names names, dates, incidents. One of the most prominent cases involves Cassie Ventura, the singer and Diddy's former longtime girlfriend. In November 2023, she filed a federal lawsuit alleging years of physical abuse, sexual trafficking, and coercion. The lawsuit described incidents of violence in hotel rooms, forced participation in encounters with male sex workers, and a pattern of control that she says trapped her for over a decade.
Sean Diddy Combs accuses the music performer and executive of rape, physical abuse, and sex trafficking. The singer Cassie says the incidents occurred throughout her 10-year relationship with Combs.
Diddy's team denied everything. Within 24 hours, the case was settled. Terms undisclosed. But here's the thing about settlements. They stop the legal battle, but they don't erase the allegations. And Cassie's case opened the floodgates.
A new civil lawsuit against Sean Diddy Combs accuses him of sex trafficking. Combs already faces allegations of abuse from at least 8 people.
More lawsuits followed. Different accusers, similar patterns, claims of drugging, coercion, abuse of power. The documentary presents these not as isolated incidents, but as part of a system, one where fame, money, and influence create an environment where accountability seemed impossible.
A new civil lawsuit claims Sean Diddy Combs repeatedly passed off dancer and adult film actress Adria English to be sexually assaulted by partygoers.
Legal experts in the documentary explain how difficult these cases are to prosecute. Power imbalances, fear of career destruction, NDAs signed under pressure, evidence lost to time. But they also make another point. Just because something isn't proven in court doesn't mean it didn't happen. And just because someone is rich and famous doesn't mean they're untouchable. For the people sharing their stories, this isn't about money or fame. It's about being heard, Finally, industry reckoning. When the reckoning dropped, the internet exploded. Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, everyone had an opinion. Some defended Diddy fiercely, pointing to his philanthropy, his mentorship, the doors he opened for black entrepreneurs. Others believed the survivors immediately, demanding justice, accountability, consequences. The hip-hop community, once unified around his legacy, fractured. 50 Cent posted memes. Aubrey O'Day, a former Making the Band contestant, shared her own stories of mistreatment. Some artists stayed silent. Others spoke out. But this goes beyond Diddy.
Working for Diddy.
Absolutely.
I love Diddy. You know, he's a good friend of mine. He's a good guy.
He expects.
Is he a good guy?
I don't want to answer that question.
Oh, wow. I
don't
think
know.
he's a good guy.
The reckoning is part of a larger cultural shift. Me Too exposed Hollywood. Surviving R. Kelly took down R. Kelly. And now hip-hop, an industry that's often celebrated machismo and protected its kings, is being forced to look in the mirror. The documentary asks, how many other stories are out there? How many other survivors stayed quiet because the industry chose loyalty over truth? And most importantly, are we finally ready to believe them? So here's what we're left with. Sean Combs, visionary or villain, genius or manipulator, can both be true? The uncomfortable reality is this. Legacies are complicated. You can celebrate the music, the culture, the business acumen, and still demand accountability for the harm. They're not mutually exclusive. And maybe that's the real reckoning. Not just for Diddy, but for all of us. For an industry that looked the other way. For fans who chose nostalgia over truth. For a culture that prioritized power over people. Pause. The documentary doesn't give us clean answers. It's not supposed to. It gives us the testimonies, the timelines, the questions, and asks us to sit with the discomfort. Because real change doesn't come from turning away. It comes from facing what's hard, what's messy, what's painful, and demanding better. So, if you watch The Reckoning, I want to hear from you. What did you feel? Shock? Anger? Disbelief? Sadness? Do you think this changes Diddy's legacy forever? Or is this just another scandal that fades with time? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and let's have a real conversation. No judgment, just honesty. If you found this video valuable, hit that like button. Share it with someone who needs to see this. And subscribe, because we're not stopping here. We're diving into the stories that shape music, power, culture, and accountability. The uncomfortable truths, the hidden histories, the voices that deserve to be heard. Until next time, stay curious, stay critical, and most importantly, stay on the right side of history.